Hi. It being 6 o'clock, I'm gonna call a meeting of the Manchester Planning Board, March 9th, to order. And, let's see, we have Brian Fry,
Yes, here.
Sue Filbert here, Sarah Creighton present, Chris Olney
Here.
and Gordon Brewster.
Yeah.
And Peter Morton.
Here.
Okay. Great. What?
I think Sandy will be here.
And Sandy will be here shortly. Isabel, Nancy Garvey is not available, and I'm not sure about Isabella, but I think we're good. Is anybody from the Miller A&R here? Ted Miller? Is that Ted? Oh, okay. We have, just give us a moment here. We have an amendment to the plan of the A&R that we prepared for the estate of W. Merritt Miller for Brookwood Road. We approved it. This is the parcel up behind Brookwood. And we approved it as a 2-lot or several lots, and it spanned these plans are, it spanned Manchester and Beverly. And so I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Ted, if when you went to the Beverly Planning Board, they identified a problem with a missing lot line that is also the border between Manchester and Beverly. Is that correct?
That's correct. And sorry, can you hear me? I was on mute there for a minute.
Yep.
Okay. Correct. So the original plan, the plot that is carved out remains the same. But the two remaining lots, one in Beverly and one in Manchester, needed to be corrected. The drawing incorrectly had a line that cut across the Brookwood Road. We removed that, and now the remaining lot in Manchester, now it's kind of strange, but it goes along the road and kind of curves around underneath the lot that is being carved out. And
This
the
lot line, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, we're just looking at the plan here.
okay,
This lot line has been added. So now where this little parcel was part of this in Beverly, this is now part of this, and you can see this. So this is the old plan. And then I'm gonna switch you guys.
So now we have a vote.
Now you look at what there was. You look at what is here.
Yep.
And the acreage has been amended.
exactly. Yeah. So we just needed to hopefully correct that and then make sure that the acreage was accurate.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Okay, so with that, I'll take a motion to approve the plan of land in Manchester by the Sea and Beverly, Massachusetts, prepared for the estate of W. Merritt Miller for Brookwood Road, prepared by LeBlanc Survey Associates, Danvers, Mass.
So
Dated, this should show amended. Dated 2/27/26. As endorse it as not a subdivision, it will not require. So the question I have for you, so I had Sue moved,
right,
and do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. Is this the proper way according to? Shouldn't the plan have an amended
There
date?
should be a revision date on the drawing that you're referring to right now. So is that the 2/27?
That says that the plan was the 20, what's the date on that plan?
Same one.
Yeah, so there's nothing to distinguish this plan besides the surveyor's date. What's the surveyor's date on that one?
11/10.
Sorry to be picky here, but the plan, your engineer should absolutely be dating this as a revised date.
Yes.
So I'm gonna amend our motion to say in consultation with our planner and the client to identify the plan with a revision date of October of a 2026 revision date. I don't know what the date was that it was revised.
Would it also
Of
be,
subject-
would also be a good idea just to bubble the changes that were made from this to this on the document?
Yeah, I'm less worried about that, but I want to make sure
So
that.
that we can have to do what we did.
Right, right. Well, the file can perhaps redo that, do that, but. You submitted any kind of a narrative to Mark when you did this? Ed?
A narrative to whom? I'm sorry.
Did you submit any amended application or anything that indicates what this change was?
No, I definitely talked through it with Mark, and his guidance was to get the change on the Mylar and bring it to this committee. That was it.
Okay, Mark's joining us by Zoom, and Sandy, welcome.
Hi, thank you.
Mark, we have two plans that have the same date, preparation date. So what do we need to do about that?
There needs to be a revised date on there
Yeah.
and then simple change bubble showing what the changes were.
Yeah, there should be a revision date on the plan, so that's probably something the surveyor should add to the plan, and then it can get signed.
Yeah, and I know you just had Beverly sign it, but they should have.
Okay.
So
Okay.
We'll take a motion to approve it. And that the signature will be affixed to a plan that shows a revision date. And at least a narrative saying application that says what we're doing here, so that the record shows what was done, preferably a set of bubbles that show what the difference is, but. Okay, do you accept that motion amendment, Sue?
Yes.
And Brian, whoever seconded, Brian, okay. Any other discussion? All in favor?
I,
Okay, unanimous, thank you. All right, sorry to take time from.
Can I just make sure? Maybe I'll follow up with Mark tomorrow, just so I know exactly what I should do.
Okay.
Okay, you need to forget the proper
Okay.
date plan, that's the bottom line.
proper
Okay.
date.
And
Changes.
highlight the provisions. Sorry to be a pain, but you'll thank us later when we go to the registry, we got all these plans, we don't know which ones.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. I didn't, if there's any public comment for matters not on the agenda. Okay, seeing none. Now I'm going to ask for a motion to open the continued public hearing for 22 Union Street LLC and the 22 Union Street special permit. Got a motion?
Yeah, so moved.
Second.
I'll second.
Okay, I need a roll call. Sandy? Yes. Ryan?
Yes.
Yes.
Sarah votes yes. Chris?
Yes.
Gordon, yes.
Okay, so now we're in the public hearing. Welcome back, Chris Vance, and remind me of your name.
Peter, wait, oh, sorry.
Peter, thank you. Okay, so, sorry, Peter Morton, I forgot to ask you to vote to open the public meeting.
It's okay. I'm in with you. Yes.
You're voting yes, thank you. I don't even see your face.
And Sarah Adams Zager is here on behalf of the applicants on Zoom as well.
Okay, great. The zoomy kind of day. Great. Somehow I can't see everybody. That's the problem. All right. So, Chris, you submitted a revised landscaping plan and a stormwater narrative. Maybe you can summarize those for us to start with.
I'll start with the landscaping plan. I'll let Peter pick up the stormwater. I'm just opening up the.
Do you want to?
Yeah.
Is the revised landscaping plan part of the packet this week?
It was in the folder. I believe.
Where there were bushes, there became pruning beds.
But he'll pull it up. Okay.
You guys see that yet?
No.
Great. Yes, we did make some revisions to the landscape plan at the recommendation of Mark with a couple of species that we thought were, or he thought was not appropriate for the landscaping scheme that we had previously presented. So we did revise it. We ended up taking out some of the shrubbery along Union Street and supplemented it with perennial flower gardens. And this would allow for some snow storage, which with the larger shrubs wouldn't allow for during the winter season. And the shrubs would also present an issue as they grew for visibility and sight lines. So particularly at the corner here where the access drive meets Union Street, we took out the shrubbery in this corner and put in perennial flower garden. Then we also made some additional changes up here between our property and 36 Union Street, so that we would provide additional screening and also leaving some room for a screened trash area and also more snow removal and snow accumulation space up on the gravel driveway.
Okay.
We also exchanged the elm for an arborvitae, is that correct?
Yes, correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, any comments or questions about the landscape plan? Okay, why don't you go on to the stormwater plan for the moment?
You just currently, 1 second. Right. Then I can just go right arrow to the detail sheet. Yep.
Hi, everybody. Thanks. Just for the record, I get Pete Blaisdell, the civil engineer from Williams and Sparagus. So nice to see you again. It's been 4 weeks. Sorry about the snow. I know you like to ski, but what are you gonna do?
I'll get over it.
I'm tired of shoveling. So we last met on February 9th, and we had some questions about the drainage system, and a couple other questions came up. We had a Teams call with Chris and myself and Chuck Dam on February 18th. And a couple things came up that we actually didn't know. There's no existing drainage structures in front of this.
That was a surprise after I read how this.
I was very, very surprised. And I was also a little bummed out because that means we gotta think outside the box a little bit, but that's okay. That's why I went to engineering school. So Chuck was actually very helpful. He was able to pull up the town's GIS. And so what we decided to do, because we all agree that it's not a good idea to have roof downspouts just discharging across the sidewalk. I have another project in Lynn where the same thing is going on. So what we've decided to do is take the downspouts from the building and we're going to discharge to the street. And what we're going to do is, if you can see this little fixture here, it's called a curb-a-let. In places where you really don't have a lot of room to work and you don't have a place to discharge drainage, instead of discharging it across the surface of the sidewalk, what we're going to do is we're just going to take the downspouts down, put a bend in them, and discharge out to the face of curb. So essentially everything's going to go to the same place. It's going to go out to the gutter line, but now we don't have to have people. We don't have to worry as much, at all, because of this winter, obviously. But now we won't have direct runoff from the roof going right to the pedestrian way on the sidewalk. It'll go right to the gutter line where it would be normally. Like I said, this has come up. I don't think I've ever had to do this in a long time, and I've had to do this twice in the last couple of weeks for a setup just like this. So the other thing we found out, Gordon, is that the existing trench drain that's there now doesn't go anywhere. So it essentially is just acting now as a sump. It's just acting as
Outlet to anything?
nothing. Goes nowhere.
So it overflows and goes into the street.
So, yeah, I mean, what we just say, because I guess it's just working as just a little sediment catch before it hits the street. It'll have to be cleaned out. You know, we did say that what we would do is we would extend it another section because we're gonna be increasing this radius a little bit. Chris just said, why don't we just, and Chuck said, why don't we just remove the old one, we'll put in a new one, we'll extend it another section. And then that way, it'll be acting the same way as it was before, but now it'll just be in better condition. It'll still have to get cleaned out, you know, after the winter, that type of thing. You can go, the grades come right off, you can just remove them by hand. And then I believe.
Is the existing, for those who are not engineers, can you explain that a trench drain is, can you explain trench drain and
Sure.
what
Absolutely.
its purpose is, the existing, maybe if you can
Absolutely.
nobody can see that.
Oh, yeah,
detail.
absolutely.
Can you expand that a little bit, please?
That'll actually-
Okay.
Oh, it's a wheel roll. Okay, got it. Thank you. Okay, so it's actually really, they're actually very, very useful, and they're nothing new. They've been around for a long time. Essentially, it's just a box, precast box in the ground with a iron grate on top, which allows runoff to come in. Normally, you would have a pipe that comes from here and then would discharge out someplace, either to crushed stone, or it can go to grade, that type of thing, or it'll go to the drainage system. In this case, it's not going anywhere. But it seems to be working. So we're gonna just put a new one in.
I'm gonna steal I'm gonna.
Oh, you want
I'm
to
gonna
steal
I'm
it?
gonna steal it for
Go
a
ahead.
second. Cause I happen to have this little picture. So we're talking about this thing right
That
here.
is it.
Okay, just
That is
so
it.
to help everybody understand what the heck we're talking
So-
about.
So normally, like I
Yeah.
said,
Okay.
it's funny because we were talking to Chuck and we were talking to Chris, so it's our understanding that, and we were talking about the existing condition runoff. As it is now, it seems that all the runoff that comes off the hill goes into this building, it seeps in, goes down below, and it hits a sump pump, which then discharges out. Nobody knows where it goes. We have no idea. I would have thought that this trench drain might have gone and tied, yeah, I know, I'll be here a week. We would have thought that this trench drain would have maybe then discharged into like a subsurface drain, or sometimes it'll go into like a wet well and then get pumped someplace, but it's a mystery. So the sump pump is gonna be removed and that's not gonna be
Where
anywhere.
it's so lower level is going away.
Yeah, it's all going away. So the only thing that Chris had said was, that Chuck had said was, let's just put it in for now, and maybe sometime in the future, we might have drainage run down there, because the nearest catch basin is down near School Street, or it's down
Up by beach.
up the street a little bit. So there's no way to get the runoff from that trench drain anywhere except for pumping it right now, and that's really not an economical thing to do with stormwater.
Mark, you have your hand raised?
Mark, go ahead. Oh, I think he's muted.
There we go. I'm looking at the town GIS right now, and like you said, it looks like there's a catch basin just 2 doors up. I don't remember what that second building is. You have the jewelry shop and then another building. There's a catch basin right there. So is there a reason why Chuck is not allowing you to extend the maybe a total of 100 feet of drain and tie into that catch basin, or the manhole that is right at the corner, the other corner of Beach there?
Yeah, Mark, it's higher than us. We can't get there by gravity.
Okay. So you wouldn't be able to tie into that manhole there?
Not without pumping it, and pumping stormwater is not a
Right. It's not,
recommended thing.
yeah. Okay. All right.
But if you're
Okay.
catching it off the roof is higher than the
Yeah,
street.
but you would still have to bring it down
It's
below.
still gonna-
You'd have to bring it down below the sidewalk to get it out to the street, which then would be lower than that manhole.
Um, okay.
Unless you collected it above the first floor.
Well, but then how do you get it there? You have to take it down and you still have to, no matter what you do, you still have to go uphill.
Have to go uphill.
Yep. You know, and we can't run the roof runoff, we can't run our roof drains across our neighbor's property or across their building to get there.
So this revised drawing that you submitted, it's called site plan. This is one shows the revised location of the trench drain a little further down, this just in back of the sidewalk now, but longer. So picking up everything from the.
So because who asked us to keep the driveway?
That was through something.
Okay, we were asked to heat the driveway, just to kind of keep that.
Yeah, I saw that.
So
It's interesting.
we wanted to make sure that we're extending the trench drain anyways, just to make sure that we catch more runoff coming down the slope, so it doesn't end up out in Union Street.
Okay,
It actually used to be heated, that driveway.
Did it?
really?
Yeah.
It's steep, it's actually.
It's about 16 to 18%, so it's steep, yeah.
I'm gonna steal,
Let's deal again, go ahead.
sorry.
Yeah, there it is, that's the drawing.
So here's the gray house, here's the catch basin,
Yep.
and there's nothing further down the street.
So the next, if you keep going that direction, the next time you hit a catch basin or drainage structure down School Street. At the intersection.
All right,
So the invert to that one above you is high enough above you, no matter what you did, you would be still below.
Yeah, because the trench drain, the trench drain only has a very shallow depth. So the trench drain would have to get it out to the street, you'd have to then pipe it from the trench drain down to the street. And once you get to the street, to run it up the street, you'd then have to go back uphill.
So I was just thinking, bridging off of what Mark said, if you were gonna we're not talking about just the trench drain, we would talk about storm drainage from the whole building.
and that site.
Could be brought up to that thing.
Right, it would be the same thing. You'd have to get there, you'd have to come under the sidewalk, which would already be lower than that. But in this case, the compromise here is that we just put it out to the gutter line where the runoff from the existing building and site are going now
So
anyway.
it literally just goes down to the one we.
We're just bypassing the sidewalk. We just don't want it to go under the sidewalk. The trench drain is there now, like I think Mr. Olney had mentioned. So that has a certain capacity to it. So if you get small rainfall events, it just goes in there and it sits. The solids settle in there until you scoop them out. If you get more of a heavy rainfall, you know, as it builds up and builds up and builds up, it just stays full, the sediments solid out. But after the heavier rainfall, your rain starts to clear because all the sediments that have come down, and then it just rides over the top. It goes to the gutter line and then goes down to the next catch basin.
Can I ask another question?
Go ahead.
This is a personal question, I'm just wondering, just for my information here, did you ever consider recharging those with storm drainage from the building into those landscaped areas in the front of the building?
So they're very small. And if you did that, I mean, most rain gardens, even the small ones, are about the size of this room. You know, maybe half the size of this room. They have a very small amount of volume in them. And then after that, they have a spillway, and the spillway would then have to spill back over onto the sidewalk, unless you connect it to a drain, which we don't have.
There's no way you could put a dry well type situation below grade and feed it into it, then leach it out over time?
So the only time I've ever seen anything like this, and it's absolutely bizarre, is the city of Boston sometimes will ask you to do what's called a vertical dry well, where they actually take you and make you bore down into the ground and then put a cylindrical dry well 20, 30 feet in height down in, which makes no sense because most of it's on Boston blue clay and the water doesn't go anywhere anyways.
So you just made my suggestion bizarre then.
I wouldn't say it's bizarre. I'm kidding.
I'm kidding.
I know you are. I actually like groundwater recharge because it takes the.
I know, it's just a shame to take all that water and.
Unfortunately, you don't really have any way to take a portion of it. The only other way to do that is you have to put in cisterns, and they have, you know, for the irrigation purposes, and they're the size of a septic tank. We don't have the room for them. And then, but even those have to have an overflow out to a drain line, and we don't have that. Otherwise, it's just gonna back up and go right across the sidewalk.
So you're not adding to the,
Impervious.
well, to the flow of water. So whatever's happening now is working. I think the only fear would be that you're gonna do something to whatever's working now that's gonna make it not work.
I believe we're gonna make it better, only in that, like I said, as it is now, all that runoff is coming into the building and, you know, we don't want that, so.
Well, maybe.
The building's acting like a cistern.
It actually is, but that's not a very good design.
But there may be a dry well under it, which is what's,
I don't know, I mean, I suspect,
Could
I
be
mean,
dry-
like,
Could be drywall underneath it now.
I know that in this area here, especially when you get these, it has a lot of ledge, it could be.
Yeah, that'd be a miss.
I mean, you know, wrong for it.
yeah.
Okay, Mark, you still have your hand up. Do you have another comment? And then I have a question for you.
No, I forgot to lower my hand.
Okay, no problem. I'll do that.
If it
Yeah,
comes back.
I'm
comes back to you,
still
Mark,
kind
let
of
me know.
looking at the map at the same. Here
Yeah.
we go.
My question for you, Mark, is did
Yep.
you talk to Chuck about this and does it comply with our new stormwater regs?
I did not talk to Chuck about this. I don't know if this building falls under the stormwater regs. Because it's a smaller site. So,
All right, maybe you can.
Somebody had a question earlier, but either Mr. Only or perhaps you did. Well, so we actually are reducing the amount of impervious on the site by about 420 square feet.
Yeah,
So it's not a lot. It's about 10%, maybe a little.
but you're not adding a runoff.
It's not, it's not a lot, but at least it's something.
You must get a lot of the runoff off the hill too, probably.
So what we're doing with that is, I mean, at least it's coming onto a gravel parking lot. That will, if there's any opportunity for groundwater there, it'll seep in. But we're just gonna ever so slightly just change the grades of the back of the building to slope away from the building a little bit, kind of like your house. I mean, I'm sure you've all seen that if you get downspouts come over, everything discharges towards your basement walls, it ends up in your basement. So we want to make sure that we have positive drainage away from the building. And anything coming down the hill doesn't go into the back of the building. We're just gonna run it down the right of way, which most of it's going down the right of way now, which is, I think, in way it's intended to be.
May I ask just one more question?
Yeah.
So the top of the building is nearly flat, correct?
It's
So it's a-
mansard roof.
The mansard roof,
Top of
yes.
the mansard roof is nearly flat till you get to the mansard. So is that gutter, is there a gutter around that? And then there's probably a gutter on a couple of these lower roofs too.
So
They come down the face of the building, nothing internal. I think he said that.
that's all based on stuff.
Based on the building, then it goes underground and then it meets the pipe and goes out to your
Right,
little discharge at the
right.
curb.
So we'd like to spread the runoff out a little bit to 3 different points. So we're not having I mean, it's gonna come out with a pretty good amount of
Yeah.
runoff, but it'll be set a little bit above the gutter line and it'll be down a little bit from the curb. So at least, like I said, people aren't gonna be stepping through that during a rainstorm.
Hmm.
At least that's the plan.
Okay. I was remembering that stormwater is now in the general bylaw. So it is, I would think, correct me if I'm wrong, Mark, that regardless of whether we put it in as a condition or not, you are, if it's applicable, you are subject to it, whether we make it a condition here or not, because it's a general bylaw.
That's correct.
Yeah, so I think we can assume and hope that that process will take care of itself. Okay, Adam, you want to probably concur with that?
I just lowered my hand because you answered the question, Mark. Thank you.
Okay, great. Can you pull up that plan again on the side? Well, let me ask what other presentation material you have, and then I think some of us have some questions.
That was it.
Okay, great. Could you pull up that sheet 3 of that with the details and go to the bottom center sidewalk right there, lower. Okay. Can you got a lot of details in that. Can you just read those so that we can, that's the sidewalk?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is just our normal cross section for a concrete curb. Actually, I did just notice that I forgot to take that out. That's supposed to be vertical granite curb. So I will make a note of that. I'm gonna revise that detail.
Yeah, that was one of my points. Cause it's
Yeah.
currently, I'm looking at the Google Earth Street View right now, it's currently a granite curb.
It
so
is.
Yeah, we.
You don't wanna go to.
That was certainly, the, beauty of copy and paste there.
Okay, and so you have here well, why don't you tell me what you have, so I'm not guessing.
So all of our details?
No, just the sidewalk in particular.
So sidewalks is, gonna be a concrete pour, with some welded wire mesh, good borrow and impact and sub-grade low to keep it from the settling, and it's gonna be 5 foot wide, minimum. There's gonna be some spaces, along the building where the building is actually set back a little bit. So the sidewalk will probably be a little bit wider than that, but, it'll have a little pitch, 2% max, cross slope, so that it's ADA compliant. Pretty standard concrete, control joints every 30 feet or so, just for cracks. But beyond that, nothing too earth-shattering for the concrete sidewalk. As far as any of the other details, I did talk to Chuck a little bit about
Different.
how he wanted to have us tie in the water. So the other details are just a 2-inch saddle for the water, domestic, the larger 4-inch fire, mechanical joint, just our typical standard water shut-off box. This we've already talked about. Silt fence, if that's going to be the most user-friendly as far as the town goes. I mean, sometimes people will want to use mulch stock around it. Hay bales apparently are a no-no now because nobody likes any of the bases that are in. So we usually are using silt fence, mulch stock, or a combination of on the sites. Most of the site is already kind of developed and urban anyways, so I would imagine it's not going to be a lot of runoff, and everything will be contained within the site. The only other thing that we would have would be just pavement match detail, which is wherever the pavement, one course meets another. We just put the standard detail on there just to show how the contractor can button one up to the other. But other than that, really not a lot of construction details here. Everything else is more the building.
Okay, so the reason I'm asking is that our downtown improvement committee and a future evaluation is going to be looking at sidewalk design here throughout this whole region. And we want this to come to be the same as whatever our design is, and we already have some poured concrete sidewalks in the downtown by the post office, and I think it's much less than the 30-foot pour, right? It's a 8 feet or.
But we're talking about perhaps having a different surface material than just poured concrete.
Right.
Does that make a difference to you?
I don't, do you have
Should be
detail?
below
Do you
it.
have details of what you're trying to do?
Yeah.
No,
Where it's a work in progress.
Could be a brick inlay inside the concrete.
Oh, okay. More of a,
You may have a concrete base,
Yeah,
mud
okay.
slab, but maybe you'll be able to have a brick on top.
oh, okay.
Possible.
it could be a brick edging.
Yes, could be a
What do
brick.
you- I mean, concrete is, usually the universal one, but they're trying to make something a little more, I mean, like Concord, Brighton, or, they have their own kind of, how they want their sidewalks on here. It's kind of hard for us to spec anything if you don't have detail yet, though.
Clearly.
Do you want to just say that, well, maybe put it this way, do you know when these details might be done?
Well, we still are, no, not yet, but hopefully before you pour a concrete sidewalk.
You'll be working for at least a year.
Yeah.
My hair didn't get white from just, hanging out.
Yeah.
You want to have a condition that says, we can do, poured concrete or approved equivalent?
So what if it's a poured concrete within which your pipe is embedded, but then we have a surface material over the top for architectural look?
I mean, we're gonna.
We can figure it out.
Yeah, I'm sure you can figure it out too. This is not rocket science.
Sorry, Isabella had a question or a comment.
I don't think there's any plans for trees along this particular stretch here. I've been very impressed by the pervious changes that sidewalks are being made to accommodate trees. No, really,
Yeah.
I mean, it's a whole change of sidewalks with pervious around the tree,
Yeah.
but there are no trees here, right?
There aren't
It's
any,
just-
there
it's
aren't
just
any now,
bushes.
and normally I would say I would be okay, like, for instance, I'm doing one in Boston right now, and Boston has a whole new bunch of rules, and all their tree boxes are 4 by 6 feet.
Oh.
But the sidewalks are 10 feet wide,
Hmm.
here the sidewalks are 5 feet wide. So, you'd have to kind of, everybody have to turn to the side and shimmy around the tree.
So I think in a perfect world, I'd like to see, I don't know, other comments on this, but I'd like, yeah,
Yeah, if you look at condition 16, says after exterior construction is completed and prior to occupancy, the sidewalks along the front of the property shall be reconstructed to the sidewalk standard in effect at that time. So I put that in there so that if we do change the sidewalk standard, that they have to construct it to that
okay,
as opposed to what's shown on the plan. So.
Fine with us.
okay. Great, and then the second piece of that is, that, I go back to my little, image, which came right out of Google Street View.
Oh, yeah,
I'll steal that back.
go ahead.
The other thing I think we want to make sure that is done, and I was glad to hear you did it, you mentioned ADA compliance. We're gonna want to make sure that this area, can you see my, at the entrance, that is currently not ADA compliant because of the cross of the slope. So that's gonna need to be reworked, which is why I asked you for the detail. And the detail that I was asked for the detail on the weekend. And the detail showed a down and then a level area as opposed to this slope. So is that correct?
Which detail?
I was pointing to, I think it was A2.
This section.
Oh, okay.
Let's see if I can.
Oh, from your drawings.
Yeah. I can probably find it.
We'll get there.
See if we can get there first.
It's on, let's go.
Will you bring it up? Or you want me to bring it up?
You've got to go for it.
Oops, somebody said it.
Done.
I think I might have to go back to the prior meeting.
Yeah, I have it shared here,
Yeah. Oh,
the
okay.
section through the access.
Yeah, so if you look that, thank you. If you can zoom in on the lower door there.
Yeah.
So that looks to me like, the pedestrian area across the bottom of the driveway, I don't know what the technical term is, would, be flat, ADA compliant.
Yeah, it's a little deceiving because the curb cut before the drive slopes, in two directions. So there's the 2% cross grade sidewalk that comes in. And then you're allowed to cut a steeper curb into the sidewalk so that you can drive up on it. And so I think the image itself is showing you sort of far beyond, so it looks like it steps down like a 6-inch step, but yes, it would comply with.
Okay, so that if we were to add an addition to 16 and say, and the driveway intersection with Union Street will meet ADA, and that this is compliant with ADA. Okay, great, thank you. The other piece on that is we received a comment, I think it was forwarded to you from Laura Tenney. Well, I'll read that in when I guess it's relevant to this topic. So I think the board got that about making sure that the correct cross slope of the sidewalk. And she suggested the width of the sidewalk be increased. So you did indicate that some places it would be 5 feet. You would
It's
be,
already 5 feet.
It's already, yeah.
It's currently 5 feet. It'll
okay,
be a little bit more in some places for the building to be a little bit back.
great. So maybe, Mark, we can add that the sidewalk shall not be less than it currently, sidewalk width shall be maintained at current or greater.
Okay.
Yeah, and then, beyond our property where the sidewalk comes in 36 and 38 units, I can't, that might be not 2%. We're gonna have to meet up with that
Right, it's
existing.
your section.
Yeah.
Okay. And she did say no asphalt curbing. I think we're in agreement on. Okay, any other comments on that piece of things, landscape plan and stormwater and wood? Okay, let's see, why don't I ask you to stop sharing, and does the board have any other questions for the applicant? I'll take public comments.
I don't have a question, but
Yeah.
I have a comment about the architectural design of the building. I think it's done really well, particularly from the street side. But I am particularly impressed by the back of the building and the side of the building. You really don't have a public viewing out there. You've treated them very well, as if they were a bit viewable. I think that's the same materials, same design, same detailing. I think it's terrific.
Thank you, appreciate that.
Great, thank you, Gordon. Any other, oh, you want to?
I have one question. Will there be adequate bike storage or potential bike rack locations on this property?
For the residential units?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming they would have bike storage under the covered, carport where they would store their carts. We don't have a designated bike rack up there, but it's something that could be added.
Okay, how about, any other questions, comments from the board?
I have a clarification question. Is there a waiver request for commercial parking as part of this? As part of the application?
Yes.
And so how does that, should that be a finding or a decision as part of the special permit?
Yes, we've requested that as part of the application, that the parking requirement be waived. In essence, there's no real practical parking now. I think we had talked at the last meeting about how even when it was commercial parking, not many people went up there because it's the slope, and also it just makes so much sense to not have people that aren't familiar with that driveway going up there. With residential use only, you'll have folks that are familiar with it that use it all the time. We think it's going to result in a much better condition, and that's the basis for the waiver.
Yeah, so I just want to make sure the waiver is included.
In the.
Thank you.
Yep, I agree.
There's something like it on the second page.
That's the request.
3-4, the 3-4 on the draft. Okay.
Where is it? Middle?
It's middle down. It says it's the discussion that precedes after closing the public hearing. It's Vance then reviewed the parking on site with.
Right. So that waiver needs to be acknowledged in the decision, Mark.
Okay.
Waiver of the 6.1 commercial parking requirements.
Yes, it's not in the last, at the very end. Okay, I'll add that in because it says special permits and site plan approval, but it doesn't say add waiver of parking requirements under section 6.1. Okay. Thought I had that, but okay.
Okay, I'm gonna now take any public comment on the 22 Union Street, and then I'm gonna walk us through through the conditions so that the public knows what we're contemplating. Is there any public comment? Raise your hand if you have public comment, or if you can't figure out how to do that, feel free to unmute and just speak up. Gar Morse. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm a neighbor down a few doors down. I think this is a very well drawn up proposal. I agree with Gordon that the attention to detail for the architecture, including around the corner and so forth, is excellent. So I'm supportive of moving ahead with this.
Great, thank you, Gar. Jersey Lane. For the minutes. Any other public comment?
Well, for the record, I'm also a neighbor at 33 Union Street.
Great, thank you. Okay, I'm not seeing any other public comments, so I'm gonna just summarize for the public and the board the conditions that we are contemplating. And for the board, that starts on page 4. The applicant shall submit the 3-building unit to the Historic Commission for a certificate of appropriateness. And if substantial changes, it will return to the planning board. A construction schedule should be submitted for review. Demolition work must be completed prior to June, undated June 15th. We don't have a date there yet. And activities may only occur on weekdays between Memorial Day and Labor Day and not on Friday, July 3rd, 2026. The building is not to be removed by June date 2026, then the demolition work cannot begin until September 8th, 2026. Isabella, did you get a copy of this? Okay, great. So what's the date that we want to put in there? 15th? Yeah,
Sure.
okay.
I
That'd
mean, well, school doesn't get out till the following week or so. I think you give them a little more time before the summer really cranks in.
But actually, some of the, like Brookwood gets out by then, I think. I think there's actually MSA starting that week. I would suggest we leave it at June 15th, and if the applicant has a hard, they can come back and ask us.
The 15th is a Monday, so should
How about
you
the end of
give
that
it?
week?
Yeah, they would either have to do it by Friday the 12th or you give them till Friday the 19th.
All right, let's do the 15th. Okay.
So, the 19th?
Yep, that sounds fine.
Okay.
Exterior lighting and signage should comply with Historic District Commission and requirements should be submitted for the review. Driveway lighting shall be motion sensors and approved by Historic Commission. All exterior lighting should be dark sky compliant. During construction, Union Street should be kept free of mud, dirt, and debris from the site construction. Appropriate erosion control should be installed and maintained to prevent off-site runoff. The site should be kept clean of trash and construction debris. The dumpster shall be kept covered. Police details shall be provided during demolition and construction if to the extent required by the police department and according with its standard policies. The operation of heavy equipment, pavement breakers, or pile drivers shall be limited to the hours of 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday and prohibited on Saturdays, Sundays, and legal state and federal holidays as set forth in the general bylaw. Police is responsible for enforcement. The applicant will coordinate all construction activities which affect pedestrian access to the sidewalk in front of the site on the roadway with the police and fire departments. When lane closures are necessary, town hall should be notified a week in advance so the public notification can be posted. During construction or demolition activities that could be reasonably expected to affect the adjacent sidewalk or Union Street, reasonable measures should be taken to maintain pedestrian safety, including but not limited to temporary protection, various signage, routing, consistent with the requirements of the building inspector and or DPW. Probably should put and police in there.
Okay.
Any damage during construction to the roadway or sidewalks due to installation of utilities or other construction activities shall be repaired and made safe. All work within Union Street must be properly cut, patched, sealed, infrared, and overlaid with pavement as required by DPW. Work shall be inspected and approved by the DPW. After exterior construction is completed and prior to occupancy, the sidewalks along the front of the property shall be reconstructed to sidewalk standard in effect at the time. And in the driveway intersection with Union Street shall be ADA and the sidewalk shall be ADA compliant. The sidewalk width shall be maintained at current width or wider. If there is a residential home occupation used in the first floor of the building, the dedicated approximately 440 for 45 square feet retail, quote unquote, retail space on the first floor shall be made available for commercial use and should not be used for residential space use. 18, a first floor commercial space may be sold as individual commercial condominiums or may be leased or may be utilized as owner occupant. The owner of the property, which may include a condominium trust, will have the right from time to time to configure the building in strict accordance with either first floor submitted plans by the applicant, such as where either a 445 square foot commercial space and portions of 3 residential dwelling units on the first floor, or with the entire first floor utilized for commercial purposes, other than certain areas designated for convenient residential ingress and egress to and from Union Street. If the first floor commercial space is included in each of the residential condominiums, then the spaces may be utilized for commercial use by the owner for retail sales, office, or other commercial use allowed by the condominium documents. In the event the property is submitted to condominium ownership with residential space on the first floor, the condominium documents shall permit the leasing or licensing to third parties on the first floor with retail or office occupancy, subject in each instance to the unanimous vote of all residential unit owners in the condominium. Any restrictions containing the condominium documents and any planning and zoning board approvals may be required at that time. In the event the property is submitted to condominium status, a list of allowable commercial use shall be submitted to the planning board for review and approval, and the applicant shall return every 6 months during construction to review the progress of the development with the board. And then the addition of the acknowledgement of the waiver of 6.1 commercial parking requirements. Any other conditions that the board feels are important?
I wonder if on a number of these, especially 10, 11, and 12, there's an assumption of communication between the project and the town. And I wonder if we can, if it's appropriate to ask that the developer designate a particular person who is the contact person for the town.
That seems reasonable.
That did work well for,
Yep.
our intent
That-
was it.
That's fine. That's. happy
Okay,
to
so we'll
comply
add
with
that. Why don't we add that to number 2? A construction schedule shall be permitted to the board for review, and the project shall designate a point person for communication.
That, I mean, as part of the building permit, there'll be a clerk of the works that you have to have, but we're happy to have it be part of the planning board decision as well.
Okay, point person. Thank you, Sandy. Okay, other comments, additions?
I just have one thing. We just said a June 19th date for you to complete demolition. What is the status as far as contractor selection and construction itself?
We have a contractor on board. We're waiting for the planning board decision.
And then they're gonna give us a construction schedule.
Yeah, I'm just asking, just wondering if that's adequate time for you to actually do it.
Demo by June.
Well, you don't have a building permit yet.
No, but we can apply for a demolition permit.
Oh, you can apply for a separate demolition permit?
Yeah, and after we get the certificate of appropriateness from the historic commission.
Well, Historic has actually already approved a demolition permit for the building based on the existing 2-unit design. So we anticipate a very quick process with them, and we don't need to have a building permit before the demo. And Chris can correct me if I'm wrong, but I understand the demo is hopefully a week-long process. So we're hoping to have this decision, there's a 20-day appeal period that has to run before we could mobilize anyone on site. But hopefully we're well in advance of that date.
Yeah, we have our meeting this Thursday with that.
Okay.
Well, it's in play then.
Yeah.
Great.
So
Okay.
can I just follow up on Gordon's comment? So just looking at the calendar, that's probably 3 months that you'll have maximum once you start demolishing. I'm not a construction expert. Is that reasonable in your estimation?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
They said, you probably didn't hear me, said it would take a week.
Yeah, it's gonna take about a week to.
So then I guess that is reasonable. Okay.
Okay, great. I'll, any other comments from the public on the conditions or any other, piece of this? Please feel free to sing out, or anybody in the room. Okay, I'm hearing none. I think what I'm gonna do is, vote to close the public, hearing. Unless there's anything else people want to say, I'm gonna, vote, ask for a motion to close the public hearing for 22 Union Street LLC, the 22 Union Street special permit and site plan review. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Chris moves,
Second,
Sandy seconds, roll call, Gordon, Chris Olney.
Yes.
Sarah Creighton, yes.
yes,
Steve Philbrick,
Yes.
Brian Fry,
yes.
Sandy Bottom Turner. It's like a quiz every time.
Yes.
And Isabella Bates and Peter Morton. Thank you. Sorry. Great. And so now I'm going to ask for a motion to approve the conditions dated drafted March 9th with the additions as I just summarized them.
So moved.
Second,
Second by Sandy. Any other discussion? I think we'll take a roll call here. Isabella,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Gordon,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Sarah votes yes.
yes.
Sue, yes.
Yes.
Brian, yes, and Sandy, yes. Okay. Procedurally, Mark, do I need to do anything else?
Sarah, I think you just approved the conditions, but I think you need to approve the special permit and then also the parking waiver pursuant to 6.1.8.
Okay, thank you.
Oh,
Thank you.
6.1.8, I will ask for a motion to waive the parking requirements. First of all, the parking requirements in 6.1, commercial parking requirements, and to approve the special permit and site plan for 22 Union Street with the conditions previously approved.
Sarah,
Yep.
the parking waiver is a special permit. So it's two special permits and site plan review, so.
Okay, can you help me figure out what the motion is, please?
To approve, the application for 22 Union Street, with the conditions for, two special permits. One pursuant to section 4.2 and the others under 6.1.8 for the waiver of the parking requirements and site plan review under section 12.6.
Great, thank you. I'll take a motion to that effect.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
sure, second.
Okay. Thank you, Mark. Any other corrections, amendments, or discussion?
No,
Okay.
thank you, Mark.
Roll
Okay.
call. Sandy?
Yes.
Yes.
Brian? Yes. Sue? Sarah votes yes.
Chris says yes.
Gordon? Isabella? And Peter?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay.
Can't wait to see it.
All right. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very
Good
much.
job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Public hearing
I'll send you.
at 7. Look
Mark,
at
I'll
that.
send you 2 copies of this when I revise the detail sheet.
Yep. Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good help.
Okay. Great. Well, that was good timing.
Well done.
We got, things. So the next order of business is, yeah, do we have to open every one of these public hearings? Oh, sorry.
Do them one at a time, Sarah.
I know. And you put them in a different order than I did, so hold on. District downtown. Oh, great. I think we. Okay, so, next we're gonna, talk about zoning changes that are, proposed for our April, town meeting. We have 4, proposed zoning changes, and this is, those of you new, this is up, and, please stay. This is a requirement under state law that we hold a public hearing, and, we, have had a number of forums on, all of these matters. I've talked to the select board, but, this is a procedural, place for people to give us input or ask questions as well. So the first, public hearing, number 1 is, I'll take a motion to open the public hearing for an article that would create 2 new zoning districts for Manchester's downtown and establish zoning requirements for these districts. The 2 proposed zoning districts are shown on the map entitled Town Center and Harbor's Edge District dated February 11th. The proposal would amend the Manchester zoning 2.0, section 2.0 definitions, 3.1 establishment, 3.2 zoning map, section 4.0 use regulations, 4.2 Manchester by the Sea table of allowed uses, 4.11, section 5.4, section 5.5, section 5.6, section 8.5, and section 6.1 of the Manchester by the Sea table of uses. Do I have a motion?
So
Yeah,
moved.
so-
You can use that.
second,
All right, Mark, do I have to take a roll call or can we just vote?
No, you can just vote. to-
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, great, thank you. So take a drink of water here for a second. I am not seeing too many people who have been not here for this discussion before. But so hopefully we can kind of go through this, some of the background fairly quickly, but we will have time for people to ask questions if we've gone too quickly over that. The first, let's see. So, we're gonna talk about the zoning and let's see. If you want to find the complete zoning articles, you can find them at the planning board page of the Manchester website. The articles are listed there, and then they're for senior housing and for downtown zoning. There are also on the left some tabs, and you can find frequently asked questions there as well. So please, that's where you can find the most up-to-date versions. So the first we're going to start with is downtown zoning. This updating our zoning in our downtown has been identified by the master plan, and we want to preserve space for commercial activity in our downtown buildings. This came up during the MBTA zoning, and we've been working on this for over a year, almost a year. The idea here is really to create zoning that looks like our current downtown, because our current downtown does not look, our current zoning does not look like what's there. It came after the downtown was built. And right now, any downtown property can become a single or a 2-family property by right. And many of our downtown properties require that a special permit that you've just witnessed if you are with us for the last hour to make is needed in order to make any improvements. So we're going to talk about a bunch of things. First is commercial uses, shops and restaurants, offices. Mixed use is a combination of commercial and residential uses. Residential is housing. Dimensional requirements are the distance from the front, side, rear setbacks. And by right means property uses that conform to zoning and don't need a review. They can just go to the building inspector to make it happen. So in our downtown zoning proposal, we're proposing to preserve and enhance what we have today, which is a mix of business and residential spaces with commercial storefronts that are along the street and residential above that. We're also going to reduce some permitting steps necessary for development by reducing some of the setback requirements. We're also going to require a design review. As I said, changes to some of the setback requirements to reflect what we have today. So the plan is to create 2 new districts. One is called the Town's Center and the other is Harbor's Edge, and we'll walk you through each of those.
It's cut off, Sarah.
Oh, is that, say it again? Is it cut off?
Well, what I can see.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. Can you, Mark, can you see the whole script, the whole slide?
I can.
Yes, yeah, the
Okay,
whole thing's,
okay,
it's
great.
all there.
We can move that out of the way. Great, thanks. So there are 2 districts, the Harbor's Edge and the Town Center District, and I'm gonna walk you through the Town Center and Sue's gonna walk you through the Harbor's Edge. So the Town Center District starts at Bluebird, that's just the only, and then continues down Central Street. You guys can sit in the chairs if you wanna
Love to.
watch. And Brian, you had to move that over.
For those wood benches.
you waiting for John to leave before you said that?
No. Okay. We can actually, yeah, please.
Sure.
Excellent, thank you. Just move that up now. There we go. There you go. Thank you. Okay, great. So the Town Center starts on Central Street by Seaside 1, and the Realtor continues up Central Street, which is now the Historic District. And you can see some of the things that we want to have reflected in our zoning. The buildings are close to the sidewalk. They're pulled right up. They don't have a front setback. They have commercial in the first floor and residential above, or in the case of 7th Central Street, let's see, right here, they have a new commercial space on the first floor with residential behind and above. The district continues up School Street to the fire station on the left and includes just the Zero School Street renovated building here on the right, the former once upon a time drugstore, right? Then up Union Street, the library on the right, and you can see this the renovated building that's has 13 units in on the left, and the copper shed now. This continues to the property we've just been talking to at 22 Union Street, 22 Union Street, bookstore, the former Jamie's Roast Beef. And then we continue up to the corner of Washington Street, the yellow building on straight ahead, and then down Beach Street. Now we're out of the historic district, and you'll see why that's important in a minute. Town Center continues into 4 Beach Street and the Sea Breeze Variety Store. It includes Cala's, the Stock Exchange, up to the post office. And along Summer Street, the garage, and the side of Summer Street that is the garage and the Laughing Gull Cafe condos there, which also have residential above, commercial on the first floor. So the details that are the important piece of any zoning. And they include the uses that are allowed, the dimensions, as I said, setbacks, parking, and design standards. So the blue is the town center, and for town center, we are allowing a mixed use, that is commercial on the first floor along the street to a depth of 25 feet with up to 4 residential units per lot above that, behind it, or on the first floor with a special permit. The residential could be on the first floor with a special permit. The height is the same as our present zoning, which is a maximum of 35 feet and 2.5 stories. we're changing the side setbacks to 0 feet because there are lots of businesses, you can see here in the picture, how the stock exchange butts right up against Cala's, there's no setback. And the front setback also, you could see that these buildings, pretty much in this entire district, come almost right up to the sidewalk. That doesn't mean that if somebody is building something that they must have a 0 setback. They can set it back from the street if they want to have a patio out front or something like that. But it means that that they may bring it right to the street. This also is where any of those buildings right now, if they want to do really anything to them, they need to come for a special permit because they don't comply with the front setbacks or the side setbacks. In the rear, the setback would be 10 feet. And the lot size is 6,000 square feet. That's not a change from today. And I should have said in the beginning that this entire area, almost this entire area, the small, except for a portion of the Harbor's Edge, is currently in the G district, general district. The lot coverage by buildings would be up to 60% and up to 80% by impervious surfaces. The other big change is that currently, all commercial uses have parking requirements. Again, we know that the stock exchange, for example, doesn't have commercial customer parking in front. And it seems that our current downtown rarely has commercial parking. So we're changing that to 0 spaces and changing the residential requirement in this proposed new district to 1 space per unit on the site and asking that it be located behind the building. So, lastly, there are 2 sets of applicable design standards. I mentioned that much of the town center is in the historic district. So the historic district standards would remain. And if they're outside this historic district, the same design standard as we passed for the MBTA zoning, which are fairly comprehensive about materials and roof pitches and so forth, and have a site plan review committee that will review the plans. Okay, so I'm going to turn it over to Sue now to talk about the Harbor's Edge, and then we'll take questions and comments.
Slide.
Hmm?
Slide, there we go.
You want me to go ahead?
No, yeah, that's good.
Wait a minute, which one?
This one, good.
Okay.
Okay, the Harbor's Edge District. Now, the reason why we decided to have 2 separate districts, even though we have a small downtown, we wanted to have slightly different rules applied to each. And the buildings that we included in the Harbor's Edge District, there are 2 big differences. One is that each of these buildings already has parking on their premises. Sure, you can pull up in front of the dry cleaners, but you can also park right next to the dry cleaners, for example. And so the Harbor's Edge District includes the buildings along Summer Street from the dry cleaner in. So we've got the dry cleaner, the bank.
There we go.
Okay.
There's the dry cleaner.
There's the dry cleaner. We go the dry cleaner, the bank, the little strip mall that used to be a train station, and then Crosby's. Each of those already has customer parking on their site. And then you go around the corner across the street, and you have the hardware store across the street, the building with 35 Beach Street. Those are included in the Harbor's Edge District, as well as the other little strip mall, which has the bank as its anchor, and then other commercial establishments along the first floor. Then you cross the tracks, and you are at Harbor's Point. And the entire premises of Harbor's Point is included in this district. And again, you see all of the parking that is available for commercial use. So one thing, many of these properties in Harbor's Edge were specifically pointed out when we did some of our walking tours during the MBTA zoning process. People were really worried that, for example, Harbor's Edge is currently in District A. Well, District A is a residential single-family zoning district. So if the owner of this entire property wanted to raise all of the buildings today and put in single-family homes, they're allowed to do that under current zoning. And that's a concern because we don't want to lose our pharmacy. We don't want to lose Dunkin' Donuts or Bravo or physical therapy or what the other buildings that are there, but also Crosby's and the hardware store and the dry cleaner. So that's why we targeted this area as a separate district. Now, the one big difference between this and the town center is that this district is envisioned as commercial required on the first floor. You may have residential above, and in fact, the buildings can be a little bit higher than current zoning, which is, we're changing it to 38 feet. Many of the other things still apply, the other parameters still apply. 38 feet, front is 0 minimum, side 10 feet minimum, rear 10 feet minimum, lot coverage, as Sarah just described, lot size 6,000 square feet. That's a big difference in Harbor's Edge district from what it's currently zoned. I should say that outside of Harbor Point, the other areas I pointed out are currently in the G district. Parking. Currently, each of these commercial establishments under our current zoning has a parking requirement. We're having no change in the Harbor's Edge district since they all already have parking. We're not eliminating that parking requirement. For residential, we're hoping that there will be residential above someday. Most of these businesses, 1 space per unit we're requiring per property. Design standards, as Sarah just described. Design standards really are to help ensure that the property will fit in with the neighborhood. And it's important in Harbor's Edge because the whole Harbor's Point property is adjacent to Tappan Street, which is a residential neighborhood, and also a few homes on Beach Street. So design standards are important in this particular district as well. Okay, so to wrap it up, so we talked about some of the reasons why we started looking at downtown zoning, and we have been in process since last summer. And we've gotten a lot of feedback, and it really ranges. There are people who want lots more housing, and we can all agree that Manchester, it'd be really nice to have more housing, and maybe it would be a little bit less expensive. So we're hoping some of this housing would be smaller footprint above the commercial spaces. But there are other people who don't want more housing. They don't want downtown to change. They're okay if Harbor's Point gets raised and single family homes are built there. So we're trying to balance the interests of all the residents in Manchester, as well as business owners, property owners, people who want more parking, less parking, denser downtown, and no change in downtown. We also, as Sarah mentioned, we really wanted to allow for more as of right building. so that there wouldn't be so many requirements for property owners to overcome when they wanted to make a change to their property that we think would be in Manchester's best interest.
Great, thank you. We'll take public comments, and one last thing that applies to all of these zoning changes that's important is that zoning doesn't make things happen. It is what is allowed and the process for it. So just because we would like to see a mixed use development or senior housing or an inn, and we were hoping that those zoning changes will happen, that doesn't mean that somebody will build a mixed use or a senior housing development or an inn. But right now, those are challenging outcomes. So, okay, I'm not seeing a lot of people on public, but yeah, Isabella, do you?
When zoning proposals were brought before town meeting before, did not go well, because from my point of view, just trying to read the thing, there was way too much detail presented that wasn't clear how to follow along because the numbering kept changing. And the level of detail that the planning board must go into is not going to go over well if it's proposed in all that detail at town meeting, because it's just too overwhelming. I really liked the presentations that I just heard just now. Even with the pictures, would it be possible to bring the pictures to town meeting?
Well, we haven't figured out how to present at town meeting yet, and we're restricted
It's
usually
not our
to
call.
2 minutes.
Oh, really?
It's the moderator.
Well,
The moderator has to
what I want to say is to make it as,
Succinct.
wonderfully positive and clarifying of the fact that we are not making radical changes here. We're just trying to clean up our act. I mean, that's really, and I just want to see this go as smoothly as possible at town meeting, because I think these changes are really good. And I don't want to see them, people all around me were getting all rattled and fussed and upset by what's changed coming like this. But the way it was just presented here with the pictures and everything, oh yeah, I know all those places. Oh yeah, that makes sense. Oh yeah, like this.
Well, when we get to rehearsing we're gonna come to you. We have a month.
Yeah.
We have a month, okay.
Another thing, and I know this isn't in the proposal, but there's this wonderful parking garage in Salem that's part of the trains MBTA. And has anyone approached the MBTA about making a parking garage? It takes care of all the parking problems.
There are two problems.
Yes.
The first is the MBTA doesn't own it.
Oh, who does?
It's owned by the condominium association.
That parking lot back there?
Yeah,
Oh,
they
I
rent,
assumed
they
it
rent
was
it,
theirs.
they rent it.
Okay.
But anyway, that's
That's
a
an
separate.
interesting idea.
It is,
Yeah, I don't disagree. Parking garages are a dirty word, but
Parking is a big complaint all the time.
I know.
And so,
So we did do a parking study, and there are only at peak times are there,
Twice a year.
yeah, twice a year. Yes, but okay, other comments from folks, and anybody I don't see anybody online. Somebody from the Greater Cape Ann Chamber. Go ahead. Can you identify
Hi.
yourself?
Yes, hi, Colleen Murdoch, the Director of Community Relations with the Greater Cape Ann Chamber. I was hoping you could just clarify one point. I understand the proposed zoning would allow for mixed use on the first floor. Can you clarify if that would be mandated commercial on the first floor, or if it's just going to allow the mixed use now?
Yep, in the town center, it's by right up to 25 feet of depth. So you can have residential in the first floor behind the commercial use. And in the town center, if you wanted to have residential on the first floor, you would have to come for a special permit. In the Harbor's Edge district, commercial on the first floor is required. So no residential on the first floor in the Harbor's Edge district.
Okay, thank you.
Steve Carhart.
Yeah, just,
Can you just identify yourself and your address?
yeah, sure.
Sorry.
Steve Carr, 12 Bridge Street. I chair the Downtown Improvement Committee, which is a volunteer committee appointed by the Select Board. I just want to, obviously, these, the zoning is out of our remit, but we are concerned that if you, to paraphrase the Field of Dreams, if you zone it, will they come? And toward that end, we are working with the chamber to market commercial property in lease situations in Manchester in ways that are practical, and generally curating or recruiting businesses that we think might make it in this town. So we have a long-term project. Just want to mention that that's there, and if anybody has any input for us, contact me or contact Jim Brown at the chamber. Thank you. That's all.
Great, thank you. Good. Yes, we're not sure. Zoning is only a piece of this, right? Okay, any other comments from the public, from the room? Anybody else?
Yes,
Oh, John Round.
John Round, 3 Greenbrier. So I wonder if you could comment on the housing density for the 2 new areas and reading some of the information. I've read it a couple of times. I think it's 4 units per lot in town center and 15 units per acre, which kind of mimics the MBTA zoning, although that particular area, I don't think any of that's an MBTA zoning. And how was that arrived at?
You want to take that?
Sure, I can. So we arrived at the 15 units an acre because it came from the MBTA zone.
All right.
In fact, we wanted to originally include the harbors, 40 harbors, it's a harbor.
Harbor Point.
Harbor Point in the MBTA district. But then we realized that under the state law, we can't require mixed use. And so we took it out because we didn't want pure residential there. We wanted the commercial. So this is going back to our original MBTA zoning days and saying, now we can require mixed use.
And how does that compare with the way the zoning is right now, which is really, this is the G district?
This is in the
Slash
A district.
half and half, I
So
don't,
you could have like 4 single family houses in there.
in G.
In
No,
A,
no.
A.
in the Harbors Point.
No, it's 2.
Yeah, let me, so in
And
the
a half
Harbors
acre
Point
minimum.
district. Harbors Point, which is down here, is the B, oh, sorry, I'm not sharing. Too many things going on. So in the Harbor's Edge district, Harbors Point is just the lower side as on a map here of the from the tracks. The train tracks run through here. So that is currently A district. This whole area is A. So you could have put a subdivision road in there. You could make some number of single family homes.
Right, but A is one unit per lot.
Per
Yeah,
per
that's
20,000
square foot lot.
That's the minimum on A
Yes.
is 22,000, that's
Yeah.
a lot.
That's a half, that
That's
is
half an
a
acre.
half an acre.
Okay.
But you have 3 acres there, so you could have 6,
All right,
you know.
yeah.
In the G district, John, the 15 is about what it is actually, because it's per 6,000 square foot lot. And you can get by right currently 2 there.
Right,
And so 6,000 goes into 43,567 times. So it's about the same.
I don't know how many lots exist there right now, so everything above the tracks
Yeah.
is G.
Yep.
I don't know how many lots are represented there as it stands.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
But today, with a special permit, you might be able on anything that has 6,000 square feet, and not all of those do,
no,
but most of them do.
Yeah.
You're allowed for
right,
residential units today. So we were trying to do 2 things. One is to reflect what you see on the street today and what's allowed with zoning today. So this combination. The Harbors Point area is the big departure. And as Chris said, they looked at it for residential because it's right next to the train, but you would create incentives to lose your commercial. But if it stays the way it is today, commercial, residential is where the money is right now.
We know that.
So there's there's a financial risk right now to convert that. Nobody's, to residential. The zoning would actually help protect commercial in the Harbor's Edge district. It doesn't ensure that a pharmacy will stay the pharmacy or that Dunkin' Donuts will stay Dunkin' Donuts. We can't dictate private enterprise.
But it
But that
prohibits.
whole strip could have residential above it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, now, yes.
And I'm sure they're thinking about that.
They probably are.
We hope
Yeah.
so.
So, right.
Yeah, and so that's how we came about it. With any of these things, as Sue said, it's a balance. There are people who'd like to see higher density, there's people who'd like to see lower density. We tried to pick a balance. So, okay, other comments or questions? Yeah, go ahead.
My name's Finn Larson, 18 North Street. Hoping to make.
Go ahead, say that louder so that
Finn
in case you have to do it on the
Larson, 18
tape.
North Street. I was hoping to make a point of clarification. The map for the towns, these two proposed zones
Yeah.
online that I'm accessing has this, what is now a single residence within that. And I'm seeing two different maps. Which one is correct? Are we hoping?
This is correct.
Okay.
This one.
Yeah, I thought I just pulled that off the online today, so maybe there's two we should check that.
Yeah, I'm glad you pointed
Point
that
that out.
out.
You know what? I bet the map when it's on the sidebar, if you go to the zoning articles, it has the correct one. Okay, yeah, good catch. Yep. The reason was that is currently a single family home. It's in G district, so today it could be a single family, a two family, a 3 family, 4 family, if it had 6,000 square feet and enough parking.
And you don't expand.
And it
building.
doesn't really have enough parking to be, so it sort of made sense to leave it out and so it remains in G district.
Used to be a wonderful restaurant.
I know, but that's a past.
It could still go back to a restaurant if it's in
But-
G.
Good.
Right.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, so I'm gonna keep us moving here. The next
Ready to close this public hearing?
do I have to close the public hearing, number 1, for Manchester's downtown?
I move we close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Let's see, stop sharing. We don't have a big crowd.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you for
Thank you
coming.
guys. Have a good night.
Okay, I get rid of that. Public hearing. Okay, so the next one is actually,
Sarah,
yes. Oh, no.
do you want to vote your recommendations for these one at a time after you finish the hearings?
I think we'll do that at the end. Is
Okay.
that okay?
Yeah, as long as you do it tonight.
Yep.
You don't absolutely have to, but it's been requested.
Yeah. Okay,
Yep.
thank you. So slideshow. Slide. Okay, the next hearing is, I will take a motion to open public hearing number 2 to add section 2.0 definitions, a new definition for an inn, and add to the section 4.0 use regulations, 4.0 table 4.2 of allowed uses, and add a section 6.1 off-street parking, table 6.1 parking requirements for an inn. Motion to open the hearing.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Uh-oh, my thing is spinning wheel of death here. Peter, are you still on board? You wanna?
Yes.
I may not be able to go into presentation mode for some reason, but we can wing it.
Yeah, and
Hold on, I got it.
It was a good presentation, so hopefully.
I have it
For some
open. I
reason,
have it
it's
open
not
to.
going into presentation
Here it
mode.
goes, here it goes.
There you
No, it's, I can't have to.
There you go.
You're
You
in.
got it. We
Yeah, I
just
know, but it's
shrink
not in
them.
presentation mode, but that's all right.
You got a permanent job. there.
Okay. Oh. All right, that's,
Maybe just minutes.
Peter, you wanna just give us a quick summary of what we're
Sure.
talking about?
Yep. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yes,
Sure
that's-
can.
Okay. So we're going to talk about hotels and inns, right, Sarah?
Right,
All right. So, and we're talking about the definition of inns primarily tonight. which is a building with rooming units without cooking facilities, and primarily for transient occupancy with a common entrance, and it can include a restaurant and recreational facilities if allowed in the district. And an inn is limited to a maximum of 12 rooms for overnight guests. And what we're going to propose is that we do allow inns in by right in the town center, in Harbor's Edge, and in the LCD, the Limited Commercial District, and that with special permit, it would be allowed in the general district. Parking would require on-site and one space per guest. And we've waited to deliberate on regulating hotels at this point.
Great. Okay, any comments from the public on inns? I don't see any. Great, okay. I'm gonna take a motion to close public hearing number 2 for inn zoning to allow inns.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Public hearing number 3 is to create an article would create new senior housing bylaw and zoning requirements for this use. The proposal would remove from section 2.0 definitions all the existing senior housing definitions and replace them with new definitions in section 2.0 for senior housing, assisted living facilities, and independent living. We're going to add to the uses to section 4.2 table of uses, and add the uses to table 6.1 Manchester by the Sea table of uses and parking, and add a new section 9.5, which are uses and permitted regulation requirements for senior housing. Chris is going to walk us through that.
Have we opened the public hearing?
Oh,
we
yes.
did.
So thank you. You're going to move,
I'll move to open the public hearing.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay.
Damage.
It's not liking that. That's not good. Okay, I'm gonna have to do it with.
Oh, there we go.
No, I know, it's just not liking presentation mode, but that's okay. We can go for it. Go ahead.
Okay, so first question is, why are we proposing to allow senior housing with a new bylaw? And there are basically 3 reasons. The first is that a third of the population, or will be by 2030, which is only 4 years from now, a third of us will be over the age of 65 in Manchester. And the second is that the town does not have a supply of appropriate housing to serve this rapidly growing group. And third, Manchester is the only community in the region that does not regulate senior housing. So the goal is to encourage small age-restricted units for seniors, encourage the conversion of existing buildings for occupancy by seniors, to provide a range of housing and allow more options for downsizing, and to provide a range of different housing types to serve the senior population. So what is senior housing? Well, I'm going to add one thing that's not on this slide. A lot of people ask, why do we have to actually have a senior housing bylaw at all? Well, the reason is that federal fair housing laws do not allow discrimination. In general, you just can't pick a group and say this housing is for you. But there is a protected group, which is seniors, which is basically an exception to the federal fair housing law. So what we're doing is allowing essentially developers or anyone to create a age-restricted unit and not have to worry about the fair housing laws. So in general, senior housing is considered, if it is for people 55 years or older. There's also a subgroup of that which are 62 and older. So anyone basically over the age of 55 is considered a senior. Senior housing is basically designed to serve the needs of senior or older adults. So we're talking about not having little kids all over the place. We're talking about smaller units that are maintained by others. So we don't have to go up on ladders to clean gutters.
or mow lawns. And they're generally more affordable and have accessibility features, such as showers that you don't have to step into and that sort of thing. So there are 4 basic types of senior housing. The first is independent senior housing, which is targeted at seniors who can manage to live on their own. They don't need any help, essentially. Then there's assisted living facilities, which offer meals, housekeeping, and healthcare services for adults that do need some care on a daily basis. And there are memory care facilities that are specially designed for people with dementia. And finally, there's what's probably most people are familiar with, which are continuing care facilities, which offer a whole range of housing and services, including independent living, assisted living, and even skilled nursing on their site. So what are we doing with independent living in our zoning bylaw? First, we're allowing senior housing with a special permit in any zoning district in town. But there are some requirements. One is a 1/2 acre minimum lot size, except in districts C and E where we require 1 acre. And there'd be a density, maximum density of 10 units an acre, which is less than the MBTA zoning, but essentially it would be sort of the density of a bunch of townhouses. These projects would have to comply with all setback and height requirements in the zoning district. And there'd be a parking requirement as well, depending on the type of housing it was being served. There's also a maximum of a single project can't have more than 60 units. For assisted living, it's basically the same. To be allowed in any district except in the D1 and D2 districts, which is around the heater essentially, or in the new downtown zones. And that's because assisted living can be disruptive to highly dense neighborhoods. They would also require a special permit to ensure compatibility with the neighborhood. They would require a 1/2 acre minimum lot size, except in districts C and E where 1 acre would be required. Again, there'd be a density of limit of 10 units per acre. And again, there'd be a compliance with setbacks and height requirements and parking requirements as well. Now, we're not allowing 2 different kinds of senior housing. One is the memory care units and the continuing care properties like Brooksby Village, which would just be too large for Manchester. So our basic idea is to allow senior housing, but to maintain small scales as much as we can. We want to limit the size of units to no more than 600 square feet for a studio, 900 square feet for a 1-bedroom, 1,200 square feet for 2 bedrooms, and 1,500 square feet for 3 bedrooms, but only allow 1 3-bedroom unit for every 10 units that would be built. Again, the idea is to keep a smaller scale and to reuse existing buildings. For example, some of these large estates that might become vacant would be a perfect reuse for that kind of a building. Finally, there'd be a local preference. These would be deed restricted units, but there would be a preference for current or former Manchester residents, for families, and for employees of the town. And finally, there'd be an affordability requirement that for every 5 units, 1 would have to be set aside as an affordable unit and eligible for listing on the SHI. The SHI is the subsidized housing inventory, which triggers 40B. So we're trying to get there as fast as we can.
Great, thank you. Okay, any comments or questions on the senior housing bylaw? And I will preempt a question that you asked, which is, are there enough in each of those districts? Are there lots that meet that minimum size requirement. And we did do an analysis, and there are quite a number in all of those all of the districts that meet the minimum size requirement, even though.
I have the numbers.
Okay, great.
689 and 440 something.
So, great. Anybody online comments? I'm not seeing anybody online, so. A couple people, Jeff, Nick, TM. Gar Morse, go ahead.
I'd just like to point out I'm Gar Morse. I live at 11 Jersey Lane, and I also own the property at 33 Union Street that has 7 units. And all of those, by the way, are leased to people who are qualify as seniors, and also would probably qualify for affordable. But the way the affordable housing law works, as you all know, is you must run a lottery for your affordable units. The lottery has to be run by a third party, and it costs between $5,000 and $10,000 a year to run a lottery. So if you have for instance, in the instance somebody mentioned, a 10-unit project, even if it's a senior project, and 2 of those units have to be affordable, the way the statute is written makes it almost impossible for a small project to have affordable units that can be listed on the SHI. This is a barrier that is in the existing statutes that we might want to consider pointing out to the Department of Housing and Livable Communities, that it really does not favor a town like Manchester, which by its nature has small projects. So I know it's not a problem that can be solved here tonight, but it's something that we might want to be aware of as we discuss these issues with our legislators. And that's my comment.
Great, thank you. Any other comments on senior housing? Isabella?
I know there are some people who are quite concerned about a high density of elderly people. I've only to look around the room to say there are a bunch of live wires. But I have been very, very intrigued by facilities that have a nursery school included in them, because then the residents can take care of the younger children, and the children love it and the residents love it. And it would be multi-use density of a different sort that speaks to quality of life in later years. I've seen pictures of these and they seem tremendously successful.
Well, I think childcare is one of the uses that is allowed in all districts by statute, by state law. So I think you could envision a senior housing with a daycare or a kindergarten or something in it, at least allowed by zoning. Whether we would get it.
Is it?
Yes, it would be allowed.
Whether we would get it or not is anybody's guess, but it would be allowed.
This is for 55 and older, but also for little tykes. I mean, how does that work?
Well, there's 2 different zoning bylaws that work here. One is childcare is allowed in any district anyway.
Okay.
And the other is senior housing.
Okay, they don't cancel.
They don't cancel each other.
Okay, I'm not seeing any other comments or questions, so I'm going to move on to close public hearing number 3. I'll take a motion to close the public hearing on senior housing bylaw.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. I'll take a motion to open public hearing number 4 to change in section 4.2 table of allowed uses E7 large accessory dwelling units from not permitted to requiring a special permit from the zoning board of appeals in the D1 and D2 zoning districts, and remove from section 9.1.2.1 the primary dwelling setback requirements for standard accessory dwelling units. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing number 4?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Okay. This is pretty simple. the background here is that, large or, standard, I guess was what we called it. Sorry, I said large on the slide. Standard ADUs, 901 to 1,200 square feet were allowed as of April 2025 with a bylaw change. Standard ADUs or larger, are, no, wait a minute, Laura.
Large is the standard.
Yeah, sorry.
Smaller
Smaller
is
is
the
standard. Sorry, large ADUs, is what we're talking about. They were, allowed as of April 2025. And, but not allowed in the D districts. And the rationale was that two-family, structures are already allowed in the D districts, and thus the larger ADUs were not, needed. Since then, we've been asked by the Zoning Board of Appeals Chair to reconsider that. And so the compromise has been to allow the large ADUs in the D districts with a special permit from the ZBA. And Mark, the second part of this, are you still there?
Yep, I'm here.
The second part is to strike the setback requirements, for standard accessory dwelling units, and that's because the, AG has to strike that, is that correct?
Yeah, we referred to the primary building setback instead of the accessory dwelling setback, and which is you're supposed to, if you're allowing for detached units, you have to use the least restrictive setback requirements. So that would be the accessory dwelling. So we have to strike the word from the where we require primary building. The other primary building requirements still are enforced, still can be enforced, but not the setbacks. So.
Okay, great, thank you. Any public comment on the ADU modifications? Not seeing anybody.
Oh, here's.
Oh, Brian, is that you, Brian? Different
Yes,
Brian.
it is. Can you hear me? I'm Brian Miller of 92 School Street.
Great.
I have a question with respect to that. Does that mean that any building built doesn't have to have setbacks on the lot? Number one. Number two, although this may seem like a minor complaint, a new building has gone up and two buildings have been built on a 7,000 square foot lot across the street from myself. And this has actually caused rather significant difficulties this winter because that unit now blocks my driveway from getting sun. And therefore, with the 60-some inches of snow we've had this year, my driveway has now been very icy, which, because of the fact that I've had shoulder surgery, I've had some major problems with this year. So is there any thought or condition on how far back these buildings should be and how much of a shadow these buildings can allow?
Thank you for the question. Depending on the district that you're referring to, or any district that the lot is in, there are varying setbacks, and those can be found in the section 5, I believe, of our zoning bylaw. This particular change does not affect that, except for the standard accessory dwelling unit, where the Attorney General has said we can't specify the larger setbacks. We have to, and that's a state law. We can't do anything about that. As for shading, that is not regulated in zoning to date. So if your neighbor is complying with setbacks, and that's a building inspector question, and sun is blocked, that is not something that is currently regulated in Manchester or typically regulated by zoning. And I'm going to ask our planner, is there any other clarification you can provide, or is that accurate?
Yeah, no, that's very accurate.
It's probably very accurate in Manchester by the Sea. In some localities, including California and Colorado, you cannot, a new building or a new structure cannot put a shadow on a neighbor's lawn or on a neighbor's property at the lowest angle for the year, which I might be in favor of after this wonderful situation this year. So that means I do have a question though with respect to what you just said. So that means the setbacks can't be more than the current building is, or can they totally ignore the setbacks for an ADU?
Now, the setback would have to comply with the accessory dwelling or dwelling setbacks, which are a little less than the primary dwelling setback. So you'd have to look at the and compare the two charts to see, and it depends on the district. So
there are two types of buildings. One is the primary, what you think of as a house, and the other is the accessory, which might be a garage. The accessory dwelling units fall under the accessory definition, and thus they are subject to less restrictive, to smaller setbacks. But the question, if you have a question about whether or not somebody is in compliance, the thing to do is to talk to the building inspector. That he can measure it and visit it.
No, I'm sure they're within the setbacks. It's just something has just come up because of the shadowing that I know in other locations you cannot put a shadow on a neighbor's property on a new building or an addition to a building. And obviously we do not have that here in Manchester by the Sea.
But it's a good thought, and maybe,
and especially with regards to solar panels, which I do have, that is also just a concern. Thank you.
Great, thank you for that comment. Anybody else? Okay, great. So I'm going to take a motion to close public hearing number 4 with regard to the accessory dwelling units.
So
moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Great. Thank you, everybody. The next thing we need to do is to vote to approve each of these zoning articles. I'm hoping maybe we can do them as a block. That's okay, legal?
well, you should do each of them and separately, and it's to vote to town meeting whether you recommend or do not recommend these articles. So
okay, that's the so
that's
it's not
what it, because that's your report to town meeting is,
okay.
you know, besides like a description of what the thing is, your report is, do you recommend that people vote on it or not?
Okay, great, thank you. So the other little bit of a wild card here is we just got comments from town council, and Mark and I reviewed them briefly at about 4:30 tonight, and I haven't looked at them. So I think Mark has reported to me anyway that they're largely administrative. So for example, we have 2 sections of table 4.2 that are lumbered A7. So we can, you know, senior housing section, and then so we can renumber. So what I'm going to suggest is that before we do the recommendations of the articles, that we vote to authorize all of the articles with and authorize Mark to make any administrative changes that are recommended by town council. And if for some reason there's a substantive change, that we would post a meeting tomorrow and come back here and hash that out on Thursday, which I hope we don't have to do, but I haven't looked at them in detail, and I just want to give us that option. So I'm going to ask for a motion to authorize the town planner to make any administrative changes to the articles, for downtown zoning, for senior housing, for inns, and for accessory dwelling unit, language, thank you, Isabella, as recommended by town council. Have a motion for that?
So moved.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Peter, I'm sure you're agreeing.
You there?
Oh, he might have left. I think Peter's left. Okay, Peter left the meeting at 8 o'clock. Great. Okay, so I will take a motion to recommend the article for Manchester to modify Manchester's to create 2 new zoning districts for Manchester's downtown and establish zoning requirements as well as a modified zoning map.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion about recommending the downtown zoning? Yahoo! All in favor?
Yes.
Okay. I will take a motion to recommend the definitions and allowed uses for inns.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Take a motion to, Chris is gonna make this motion, to recommend creating a new senior housing bylaw and the zoning requirements for this use.
So moved.
Second,
Come on, Brian.
Ryan's gonna second that.
Second, oh, sorry. Thought you did it.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Lastly, I will take a motion to recommend changes to the large ADUs, changing them from not permitted to special permit from the ZBA in districts D1 and D2.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
any discussion on this one? This is I have a little bit of mixed feelings about this, but I think
It's a good solution.
Good
It's a reasonable
yeah,
solution.
okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Done.
What about
Okay.
the,
Driveways.
no, the second part of the ADU one?
Oh, and to remove I'm gonna move the primary dwelling setback requirement for
Yeah.
standard accessory. Any objections to modifying the amendment to that? A motion to include that, thank you. Okay, wow. Okay, so Isabella does bring up a really good point that we're gonna need a working session to figure out how we explain this in 2 minutes, each of these.
Just
Yeah.
finished.
Don't mean to interrupt, but we have a new town moderator.
I know.
And it might be worth,
That's what they
like you, Anne, or whoever, someone from the select board meeting with him about the time requirement and explaining from our perspective that it impedes us from really doing our job as the planning board to be so restricted on time. And we were very respectful of time, but it also really does hinder us when we're on the floor of all town meeting.
That's a good suggestion. And we also have the frequently asked questions already. So I think we need to hone some handout materials
Definitely, yeah.
for a town meeting. And really, we've got it 5 weeks or something. I mean, they probably, if they need it printed, it comes up quick.
Right.
So that is, I think we can do that with some communications meetings, and maybe, some back and forths. But that's a really good suggestion, Sue. The problem is that, they like town meeting to
I
keep
know,
going along.
I know.
I also want to correct something that Isabella said, which is, we've only had one loss
Yeah.
on zoning, and it was
It was a minor one.
minor. What was it? I don't even remember. We just didn't get 2/3. We got a majority.
Yeah.
It was something,
Well, there were a group that were postponed.
there were a
There were
group that were
groups postponed, they ran-
postponed because it was the night of
The
the
technical
technical
disaster.
fiasco in
November
No, but-
22.
right. Yes, and though, but that wasn't a failure per se. We did too many at once, but it was also the recall vote. It was the citizens petition for the recall. Remember that delayed the start of the meeting for an hour, and it was a nightmare. But we didn't fail at anything, actually. We just strategically said, but whatever. The perception is reality.
Yeah, I think the handout material is really important.
It is.
It is.
I think if there's any visuals we can put up, you know.
Yeah, they don't want to do, the problem with the visuals, we did that with the high school, and that was a long time before visuals got better.
Yeah.
But the problem is if it fails, then you're kind of in a mess.
I think Gar's question.
Gar, you have a good suggestion here?
I apologize. I know I'm out of order. I have the greatest respect for each and every one of you. And I speak with my experience, of which some of you were there on the zoning, MBTA zoning. We have a wonderful resource in Town Hall by the name of Tiffany Marletta.
We've been working with her, Gar.
Excellent. We did purposeful education long before the vote.
Yeah.
And so anything you do in that regard, I'll be on your side. I'll be with you. Okay.
Thank you. We've actually been holding forums on the downtown stuff since June of 2025.
That's good.
We've done site walks, you've been there. Anyway, but we can't roll back the clock.
But we could think about
one more site walk.
Doing the videos.
Yeah,
of each district, and maybe a little video with some examples of senior housing that could be playing while everyone's coming in and taking their seats and reading.
Yeah.
So
Didn't we do that with the MBTA?
we had, then we got,
Alan wanted to do it. I was horrified, but I think it's actually a
we
good
got
idea.
great feedback from them. People said that was very helpful. So
yeah,
just again, something to, it'd be a pain to do the videos,
Right.
but it's only 2 and
Right.
I don't know.
We could maybe replay some of the videos of the.
Well, they have been,
forums.
the videos they're supposed to be up, but I don't know.
So that brings up another point. I watched the recording of December 4th, our forum on downtown zoning, and it is not on the downtown zoning.
Okay, we should at least get that.
You have to go to the agenda and minutes thing, and no one knows to do that.
No, we can easily get tonight's presentations put on the,
That would be great.
yeah, that's probably at least, that's pretty easy to do. Yeah, okay, good. Good suggestion. And they can get broken into chunks. Yeah, okay. So we will schedule some communications stuff coming up. All right, I don't know about anybody else on that. The discussion of driveway regulations. I'm not quite ready.
Let's postpone that.
Let's postpone that again. The point, we will talk about that next time. So read the driveway regulations. The idea here is we're proposing that the driveways get pared down in the general bylaws, and then don't worry, we're gonna have regulations. So we want to be able to say, and here's what the regulations are. We've already reviewed them. As soon as it passes in the general bylaws, then we have a public hearing to pass and approve the regulations. But we should know what we're trying to get accomplished. I don't think it's that hard. Okay, 2 quick updates. The harbor management plan is essentially done, and it's draft on the website. We didn't get a lot of comments from folks. It is a series of recommendations. And the big question is, how do we ensure that those recommendations get carried forth? That's always a question, right? When you do a plan, the master plan and others. So, and it's a little bit challenging because we have a harbor manager. The harbor master is the harbor management. And yeah, we've expanded, the study expanded it. So with the plan there is to go and meet with the select board and sort of talk that through a little bit. And there is one thing that was assigned, at least one thing. There are two things that I can think of that were assigned to the planning board. I don't have it right in front of me. One is to work with other boards to try to streamline permitting. So I don't know what the answer to that is, but you know, this 3 condo unit has to go to the historic commission.
Right.
Maybe would have to go to the Concom. In their case, they don't have to, but let's say they were right on the water. You know, then they gotta go to our site review group, and then they gotta come here for special permit. And especially for, you know,
It's expensive and
it's expensive and it takes a lot of time. And so one of the.
There may be conflicting rules about. you know.
Exactly. So that, trying to figure out how, that came up around the harbor, but it's no different. Because the harbor is chapter 91, it has Concom, then it has our rules of special permits and all the rest. So that's one thing that would affect us. And so think a little bit about that. I think not just about the harbor, but across the board. The other one is the marine uses. We have 2 large for Manchester boatyards in the general district. So as we think about the general district, think about that, because those were identified as being very critical, you know, to the sort of health and well-being and recreation of the harbor, the main harbor, the boating. And if those were to become condos, then that changes a whole bunch of things. So there are options, as we think about the general district, to zone, to create a harbor zone, not a harbor's edge, but a harbor or something else zone, and that was identified as something that we should think about. And then I guess the third is more of a general bylaw, but we talked a lot about the fact that we don't know really what the water quality is in the harbor in terms of nutrient loading and that kind of thing. That, of course, Tux Point is tested because it's a beach for bacteria, but we don't know particularly what the nutrient loading is. And because the sort of best practice is to say prohibit for certain types of fertilizers along the harbor and the ocean's edge. But unless you know that that's really an issue, it's a cart before the horse, right? Is it effect? Should we do that? But if we don't know that that it exists, or that many people are, that it's a big problem, then, and how do you enforce things? So it's another issue that probably falls more in the jurisdiction of the Concom. But nutrient loading into the harbor is, you know, reduces dissolved oxygen and encourage algae growth and that kind of thing. So that's another issue. So the big thing there is, you know, how do we keep this? How do we keep an eye on the important things? It's sort of a very distributed set of responsibilities. So that's that. CPC. Any updates there?
So we did award a bunch of projects, some funding.
Or for a town meeting?
Right. Yeah, that's right. And it has to be
Yeah.
approved by town meeting. The big one is the rotunda, which everyone probably knows has lost its grant. So basically, we're cobbling together all the CPC funds. The Affordable Housing Trust has agreed to withdraw $100,000 of his $200,000 grant to fund the rotunda this year. Personally, I kind of think it might be better just to take the rotunda, put on land and call it a day and save a couple of $1 million, but that's not my choice. I mean, not my decision.
What happened to the budget for it? It was
Oh,
part of everything.
Thing. It's all federal money that just got.
Yeah, so it's federal pass-through money.
Yeah.
But paying for it with the Affordable Housing Trust, that
Seems
doesn't.
crazy.
That
No, it just
doesn't-
means the Affordable Housing Trust will get less money, right?
Yeah.
It's not like the Affordable Housing Trust
We
took
didn't-
money out of their
we-
coffers.
Right, I just.
So what we
Still.
The messaging.
told,
Yeah.
we told the finance committee is we'll be back next year for 300,000 instead of 200,000. So in any case, since we don't have a project active right now that we can spend it on, It's not the end of the world.
Sarah, may I give you an update on what's happening in facilities?
Please.
So that is, we're meeting every week. We had a little respite during the Christmas New Year's, but we're meeting every week now. It is moving forward to becoming a real project here. We're considering hiring an owner's project manager now. And Sarah's and then the next step would be to hire a designer who would go through the normal stuff as we did for the schools for location, size, configuration, massing, and all that other stuff that goes along with the plan.
Which project?
All of them. So it could be one, could be two, could be three. It's the police department, the fire department, and the public works department too, all being relocated. So that's becoming a hot topic. It's becoming very real. More update on that as we go through it. There's Andy Alderman he's on the committee with me as well. And he brought up the town is looking to bond finance many upcoming projects that are coming up here. Would this be the appropriate time for that? But that's yet to be determined. We're trying to figure that out right now. I know the Public Works Department is eager to get this going.
I'm sure they are. Yeah. Okay, great. Any other updates from anybody? All right, we have minutes. Any other matters not on the previously anticipated? Mark, anything else? Oh, housing production plan, sorry. Do you wanna, we're gonna talk about that, at the next meeting, she's gonna come?
I believe so. I'm waiting to confirm that for the next meeting. And the other thing you have coming up is the School Street public hearing for the zoning change by petition article. So.
Okay, so our next meeting is the change of districts on School Street, and the housing production plan. And the regulation for driveways, very exciting regulations for driveways. Okay, I'm not sure, there was some correspondence in our packet, but mostly from other towns. So I'll take approval of minutes. Let's start at the top. November 17th. Brian was not here, but everybody else was.
So moved.
Okay.
Approved.
Second. Okay. Any amendments? Correct. All in favor?
Yes.
Okay. January 29th. Sue and Sandy Bodmer Turner were not here. I'll take a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oop, Peter's not here. Okay, on February 2nd, Gordon and Sue were not here. Take a motion.
Well, I actually have two comments
Okay.
about that. On the second page, just to be sure we're clear everywhere we talk about it, and perhaps I've misunderstood. It's about a quarter of the way down for the town center district. The proposal includes mixed use on the first floor, and the second bullet point says up to 25 feet deep. And I think it should be at least 25
Right,
feet
at
deep.
least.
Yeah, not up to, so it's not.
Yeah.
And then further down for Harbor's Edge, second sub bullet point, affordable housing requirements for developments. This is that old bugaboo of 5 units or more. So if you have 5, one has to be affordable.
Right. 5 units.
It's
Yep,
the
I see.
second residential allowed above.
Okay, and the other one was max use up to, would you say?
To be at least.
At least. Okay, great. All right, take a motion for February, or I think we had a motion for February 2nd. But as amended, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, February 9th, Sue was not here. Take a motion?
So moved.
My name's.
Okay, and Brian's name is spelled wrong on February 9th. Okay? And that's okay, we'll get that figured out.
That's something.
Hey, at least it's pronounced right.
I'm used to being misspelled all the time.
Where was it not
You
spelled
can
right?
imagine.
Yeah. FREY in the
I know, but where was it not in the body of it?
call to order.
Oh. Yeah, okay.
Just at the
Oh,
top.
yeah, FREY. Just do that. Okay, great. All in favor? We can't vote. Okay, February 23rd. Peter was not here. I'll take a motion.
So move.
Second,
All in favor?
aye,
Excellent.
all right.
Great. So Mark, I want to see whatever the changes are that you make from Robin's stuff. Just, can we go over those?
Yep.
Just make sure that they're administrative, and if
Yeah.
there's any substantive change, we will post something for Thursday.
Yeah, no, they're non-substantive.
There are none. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for all the work you put into the presentations. I thought there was.
Sorry, it's so late. All right.
No.
Anyway, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So move.
All in
Second.
favor?
Aye.
I give up.
Thanks, everyone.